All right, welcome back to the channel. So this video is going to be about Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury and some things Tyson Fury has ended his silence to say about Deontay Wilder, and also the fact that he's pushing for an Anthony Joshua fight. Let's talk about the heavyweight division in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So in boxing, there is a saying that as the heavyweights go, so boxing goes. And so you see the state of boxing right now, and it is directly correlated to the state of the heavyweight division and the division in the heavyweight division about who the best fighter in the world is. Fortunately for us, we've got a series of fights coming up in the heavyweight division that could possibly lead to the answer to the question of who the champion in boxing is. In my opinion, when you are the heavyweight champion in boxing, that means that you are the man in boxing and you become what they say and people are always looking for, which is the face of boxing. So right now, the contestants in this are going to be Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, and Alexander Usyk, who's going to be fighting Anthony Joshua as a WBO mandatory for him. But the big three in heavyweight division are the Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, and Anthony Joshua. So Tyson Fury, who's the self-proclaimed Gypsy King, and a lot of people believe, like Ring Magazine has him listed as the #1 heavyweight in the world. I think that there's a consensus among a lot of people that don't think that Deontay Wilder was cheated, that Tyson Fury is the best fighter because of the top three, that the only fights between the top three heavyweights have been between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, and effectively on record, Tyson Fury's gotten the best of it. So many people say that, Tyson Fury is the best, is the best of the bunch. Now, personally, I don't believe that that's the case. I believe that Tyson Fury cheated his way, and there's a large number of people that believe that Tyson Fury cheated Deontay Wilder in both the first and the second fights. So that really limits his claim as being the best, especially when you see how Tyson Fury's gone about behaving when Deontay Wilder's wanted to rematch him, both from the draw in the first fight, where Tyson Fury just didn't exercise his rematch clause. When Deontay Wilder said that he wanted to fight him, Tyson Fury, wouldn't fight him. The WBC ordered the fight. Tyson Fury wouldn't take the fight, but then he goes to sign with Top Rank, takes two fights. One I think was against Otto Wallin, the other one against Tom Schwartz, right? Comes back and fights Deontay Wilder, but then when he comes back with Deontay Wilder, it's just a no holds barred, cheat fest. So people see what happened in those fights. People see what's happened in those fights, and they reasonably question whether or not Tyson Fury really is the man. But Tyson Fury, I will give Tyson Fury credit, for one thing. Tyson Fury does talk a good game, and he says what he's going to do in this fight is he's going to knock out Deontay Wilder even quicker than he did the last time, and that he from there on is going to go move to fight Anthony Joshua. Now, my personal opinion on this is no way. Is he going to run through Deontay Wilder in this second fight? First of all, that's never been Tyson Fury's style to run through is to just run out and run through and knock out guys. And, the idea that somehow he was taught that by Sugar Hill, in an isolated training camp really doesn't make any sense for me. But anyway, if that is the case, that he's able to get a couple piece of advice from Sugar Hill, and all of a sudden his game has changed so dramatically that all of a sudden he's got a bunch of increased punching power. Deontay Wilder is wobbling all over the ring, and it doesn't have anything to do with what Deontay Wilder said. Then okay, maybe there's a possibility then that people on Tyson Fury's side don't accept, which is that all of the different training and the things that that Deontay Wilder is doing may very well come out to help and improve Deontay Wilder. Like the things that I love seeing that Deontay Wilder is doing is I like the, you know, the work, the stuff that we're able to see, right? Which is them putting out the pad work and showing what he's working on, the bulking up with the weights. But specifically, I like how he's working on the jab and he's working on slipping punches and getting on the inside of Tyson Fury. You know, it's that type of, if one go, it's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you can tell me that Tyson Fury can you know have all of these improvements, then why not believe that Deontay Wilder can as well? And from my understanding, these things that Deontay Wilder are implementing are things that he already knew to do. But Deontay Wilder has, you know, he had something that was there for him that he could use pretty much whenever he wanted, and he relied very heavily on it. And that is his right hand, which, by the way, is still in this fight. So as long as Deontay Wilder can find a way to disguise the right hand better, as long as he can find a way, you know, to make sure that Tyson Fury isn't cheating, then he has every bit of ability to win this fight against Tyson Fury. But on the flip side of it, I will say this, that Tyson Fury, independent of, you know, the antics, the extra bit of, you know, the extra that he tries to get through cheating, and I'm telling you, it's through it. This is not something where it's an isolated incident with Deontay Wilder. He's cheated other fighters in the same way, and had difficult fights with the fighters that he was cheating. But you know, at the very least, I will acknowledge that, you know, he's a very experienced fighter. He doesn't really cower, you know, in the bright lights. And I wouldn't doubt at all, you know, that he could come in, you know, that a lot of the sparring rumors and the things that, you know, were said about what was going on in his camp really do, like his father John say, kind of go away, you know, when he's preparing to fight, and that he could actually, and that he is a real legit threat to win this fight. But, you know, as it applies to the heavyweight division, I think all three of these guys really have questions hanging over their heads, and that the only real way to make sure that we know what's going on is for these guys to fight. Now, for Tyson Fury to say that he's going to go on to Anthony Joshua right after Deontay Wilder, if he wins, that's something else that I don't see happening. I don't believe will happen because of Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua. Eddie Hearn has been very, very protective of Anthony Joshua throughout Anthony Joshua's entire career. Not just with the Deontay Wilder situation, but I think that when Eddie Hearn was talking about, you know, every time he's talking about fighting Tyson Fury, I just believe that what he's doing is he's just keeping Anthony Joshua's name out there so that people can talk about Anthony Joshua, so they have something to say about Anthony Joshua, and they keep comparing Anthony Joshua to the top heavyweights. After that knockout loss to Andy Ruiz, I don't think that those guys really have a lot of confidence in Anthony Joshua's chin, and I think that is bearing itself out on who he's fighting. In fact, even with Alexander Usyk, that Alexander Usyk fight didn't have to be made via mandatory. He could have taken that as a voluntary. So I think that there might have been some nervousness around him fighting Alexander Usyk. But, you know, at the end of the day, I really do hope that this picture gets clearer, and it gets clearer for the sake of the rest of boxing, because really, like I said in the beginning, as the heavyweights go, so goes boxing. And as soon as we have a heavyweight champ, that it is the heavyweight champ, then all of the focus will be on him. And we'll be less likely to have side shows with non-competitive fighters that can steal the limelight from legitimate fighters in the boxing world. But at least that's how I see it. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.